I wouldn't draw attention to it as a try and highlight that in front of everybody, because I wouldn't want all the rest of the children in the class to want to know why you have drawn attention to it, because they would want to hear. So maybe once the children are underway in their task, maybe say, just whispering to the children, that was inappropriate, I'd like to speak to you at the end of the lesson. That way they know they've done something wrong, they know they need to address the issue, and they need to explain why they've used this language. They think, right, okay, this wasn't appropriate, this wasn't acceptable, I've possibly got myself in some trouble, so I better not do it again.
I think you do need to use those words, inappropriate and unacceptable behaviour.
I think if you've drawn up some rules with the class when you first got them and they know what you're expecting from them, so if you talked about language and whatever else it is you want to cover, then they know the minute they step over that boundary what their consequences are going to be. So whether they say it under their breath or out loud, they know what the next step's going to mean to them for doing that thing. So I think if they've bought into drawing up the rules, then they know what's going to come out of it. And I think as well with language nowadays, it's in the playground that it's used so often and it's so regular for people that during maybe PSHE activities you can talk about different language. And I wouldn't be frightened to say to a child, I'm sorry, that's totally unacceptable, and that is whatever the consequence is, you're staying in at break, in front of everybody else, because I think it's quite important that they all know that you wouldn't tolerate it.
If it is persistent, you would contact the parents and possibly find out, maybe they didn't know that they were swearing, and find out like if they got it from an older brother or an older sibling or something, and then, or if they've got it from their parent.
What if the parent turned up and they were equally swearing as much to you, and
you have some understanding of the child's background.
I think it's just a case of you have to then say, okay, that might be what happens at home. The school's a different thing, and we have different things at school. You know, there are different behaviours. At home, you're not expected to sit on a chair and write, or to look at a huge screen. Different things happen at school, and that's just part of being at school.
And there's different rules, isn't there, for different situations and things, and that would be stress as well to them.
I think you'd have to be careful as well though, like if you bring it up in front of the whole class, some of them might then say, well, what did you say, like afterwards, when it's like, what did you say, what were you saying, and then maybe they might try their luck as well by saying different words.
That's trying their luck, isn't it? If they know the rules,
and they know
they're not going to want to stay in or whatever as well, are they? Or you talk to their parents about the language. I think if you've got a set of rules, you've not got to be frightened to use the rules.
Especially if they've been responsible of helping create the rules as well, then they know exactly what's going to happen if they do.
It's not a surprise to them.
I had a child in my placement school that started calling all the female teachers darling. And, it got nipped in the bud straight away when the class teacher heard it, and she did announce it to the whole of the class. It is unacceptable to call teachers darling, and some of them found it a bit funny. Some of them found it quite funny, but they would be laughing inside. They wouldn't have laughed because she was quite a strict teacher, but so maybe I think she should have done it away from the rest of the class, because they even though they'd heard him call it, maybe she should have just reprimanded it and not said, do not call teachers darling.
So it sometimes makes discipline hard if you've got 30 children laughing, isn't it? Because then you have to step up the mark in terms of the way you deal with the problem.
And to be honest, that would make you laugh. So that would be quite hard to stand up and say, right, please don't call me darling, because you'd be laughing and they'd all be laughing. So you've
got to wheel a whole lot back in.
Given a really mixed message.